Wood can be made rot-proof using nothing but controlled fire and time. Norwegian stave churches from 1150 AD still stand with original torrefied timbers intact today. No preservatives, no replacement schedules, no ongoing treatments, only carefully applied heat that transforms cellulose into carbon armor. The lumber industry buried this 900-year-old solution. 9 centuries ago in medieval Norway, master craftsmen faced a critical challenge while building the Borgund stave church. They needed timber that could withstand centuries of punishing rain, snow, and relentless freeze-thaw cycles. With no chemical preservatives available, they turned to the most fundamental elements at their disposal: fire, skill, and a deep understanding of wood's properties. This wasn't unique to Norway. Across the world, timber-building civilizations independently discovered the same solution. Japanese builders perfected the shosugi band technique over a millennium, creating charred wood siding that lasts for centuries. Vikings fire-hardened their ship hulls to resist rot in the harsh North Atlantic. Chinese craftsmen used torrefaction for imperial palace construction. Different cultures, separated by vast distances, all arrived at the same conclusion: fire could transform wood into something extraordinary. The proof of their wisdom stands today. Of Norway's once numerous wooden stave churches, 28 remain after 900 years, with their original torrefied timbers still intact. The Borgund stave church has required 0 structural repairs in 9 centuries. Japanese buildings with shosugi band siding have documented lifespans exceeding 200 years. These structures aren't anomalies, they're testaments to a technique that works. But something changed in the 1880s. The industrial timber revolution gave birth to a chemical wood treatment industry. Suddenly, creosote, copper arsenate, and synthetic preservatives were marketed as modern solutions to wood preservation. Traditional fire hardening techniques were systematically labeled as primitive and unreliable, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The reason isn't complicated. The modern lumber industry generates $600 billion annually worldwide. The chemical treatment market alone accounts for $600 billion annually worldwide. The chemical treatment market alone accounts for $600 billion annually worldwide. The chemical treatment market alone accounts for $8.9 billion per year. This business model depends on replacement cycles. Treated lumber typically fails every 15 to 25 years, requiring new purchases, maintenance contracts, retreatment services, and disposal fees. A wood preservation technique that lasts centuries threatens this entire economic ecosystem. The suppression wasn't dramatic. No laws banned torrefaction. Instead, knowledge of these techniques was systematically erased through bureaucratic exclusion. Building codes were written around chemical-treated lumber standards. Traditional fire hardening disappeared from construction manuals. Architecture schools stopped teaching these ancient methods. Insurance companies began refusing coverage for untreated wood structures, despite the fact that torrefied wood is demonstrably more durable. Permit processes now favor industrially processed materials. Contractors receive training exclusively in modern methods. Ancient techniques that worked for centuries have been relegated to historical curiosities, interesting but supposedly impractical for modern use. But how does torrefaction actually work? The process involves controlled heating at 200 to 300 degrees Celsius in an oxygen-limited environment. This causes cellulose and hemicellulose to break down while the lignin remains largely intact. The surface carbonizes into a protective char layer, and the internal wood structure becomes hydrophobic, literally repelling water at the molecular level. The physics are remarkable. The char layer completely blocks moisture penetration, preventing the conditions necessary for rot to develop. This carbonized surface resists fungal and bacterial attack, creating a hostile environment for decomposers. Torrefied wood actually ignites at significantly higher temperatures, 400 to 500 degrees Celsius versus 250 degrees Celsius for untreated wood. The process increases density by 15 to 20%, improving strength rather than compromising it. The performance differences are stark. Untreated pine typically lasts 5 to 10 years outdoors. Pressure-treated lumber survives 15 to 25 years with maintenance. Torrefied wood has documented lifespans exceeding 100 years with 0 maintenance required, and it achieves this without the toxic copper, chromium, and arsenic compounds used in chemical treatments. Modern science confirms what ancient builders knew. The University of Helsinki has demonstrated that torrefied wood shows 90% resistance to rot. The Swiss Federal Institute found that proper charring achieves Class A fire ratings. The USDA Forest Service documented superior weathering performance in torrefied samples. The Japanese Building Research Institute confirms durability exceeding 200 years. These aren't just historical curiosities. Montana homesteaders using Shosugi-ban siding report zero maintenance after 15 years of harsh weather exposure. Norwegian restoration projects successfully employ the original 900-year-old techniques. Japanese craftsmen maintain family traditions across generations, creating wood products that outlast their creators. European eco-builders are reviving torrefaction for sustainable construction that requires no chemical treatments. Yet regulatory obstacles remain formidable. The International Building Code has no category for fire-hardened wood. Insurance companies exclude non-standard building materials. Permit processes delay projects using traditional methods, requiring expensive engineering reports. Mortgage lenders refuse loans for what they deem experimental construction, despite nearly a millennium of proven performance. The system has been designed to favor industrial products. Chemical treatments receive pre-approved, fast-track permitting, while traditional torrefaction faces months of review. Same wood, same building, entirely different regulatory treatment. But here's the critical truth. This knowledge never actually disappeared. Those 28 Norwegian stave churches stand as living proof. Japanese Shosugi bandmasters continue teaching the technique to new generations. The physics hasn't changed in 1,000 years. Fire plus wood plus time still equals permanent preservation. For anyone willing to learn, the barriers to entry are surprisingly low. Basic torrefaction equipment costs $200 to $500. The technique can be learned in a weekend workshop. Any softwood lumber and a controlled flame source are all you need to create siding that will outlast the house it protects. The choice is simple. Continue buying chemical-treated lumber that fails every 20 years, or learn a 1,000-year-old technique that works permanently. The lumber industry profits from our collective forgetting of these methods. But the knowledge remains, waiting in those 900-year-old churches, in Japanese timber frames, and in the workshops of those keeping these traditions alive. The wood that burns underwater but won't rot isn't a contradiction. It's physics. The same physics Norwegian craftsmen understood in 1150, Japanese builders perfected across centuries, and the lumber industry spent 150 years making you forget. The knowledge was never lost. It was just never profitable to teach you. What shocked you most about this ancient wood preservation technique? Tell me in the comments below. Hit subscribe now to unlock more hidden building secrets. Your future home depends on it.